Spoilers?
Check.
Mature language?
Check.
Should listeners be advised?
Check.
Fantastic Four. Spider-Man. Iron Man. Spider-Woman.
Welcome to the Marvel Superhero Podcast. I'm Illegal Machine, and with me is...
Mr. Fix-It.
Diablo Frank.
And today we're going to talk about the movie slate that was recently announced for both Marvel and DC Comics.
There we go.
Okay.
Stretch.
So here's what we did. Me and Mac, we wanted to have some material that'd be easy, wouldn't take a lot of editing and shit.
Okay.
So I was going to ask you, and that way I can insert you into segments and get you involved in it retroactively.
Okay.
Okay. First match, Wonder Woman versus Captain Marvel.
Ooh. Wonder Woman is going to be boring. Captain Marvel, not well known enough. There's going to be enough in that movie that if you don't watch it, you're fine. But if you do watch it, you get more pleasure out of the Marvel Universe movies. So I think that's going to work out. Wonder Woman... It was just tailed in. Hey, we're going to do a JLA movie. Quick, let's do a Wonder Woman movie. Quick, let's do a Flash movie. And I'm not trying to be a Marvel fanboy versus a DC fanboy, but everything I've seen so far from DC feels like last minute. Hey, let's just do this. Hey, let's just do that. Let's do this. Let's do that. It doesn't feel like when we just watched the Marvel thing, it felt like everything was formulated from day one, from point A to point B. They've always knew what steps they were going to take, where DC feels like everyone's running in different directions and they're throwing out ideas. And then they're like, oh yeah, we're going to do this movie. Oh, and then we're going to do this and this. That's the kind of movie Wonder Woman's going to be. They haven't built up that enthusiasm that everyone has for the Marvel movies right now to really hold that movie up. When I talk to people, they're like, well, the Nolan Batman movies, those were over a long time ago. Well, the Superman movie that just came out, yeah, it was okay. It doesn't really lead into a universe.
Well, they're trying to say that sequence where they raise Superman up from the waters after he saves the oil rig, that was a whale lifting him up controlled by Aquaman.
Yeah, unless I see a fucking CG'd whale picking him the fuck up. No, that's his last minute. Oh, hey, that would work, right? We can kind of, let's do this. I remember the first Cat movie that came up, I was worried, like, what are they going to do? Is it going to be like Saving Private Ryan? And they did it right. I enjoy the first Cat. I still enjoy it.
They stayed true to the character.
Yeah, I think this movie, the Xena movie, I don't think she's popular enough. Well, I mean, you said you could say the same thing about the Guardians, but could you really input humor into it?
To me, Wonder Woman is always tied into the 1940s. You need to have that World War to bring her forward. What's supposed to bring her off that island in the first place, at least in the original comics, is that the world is at war. It's gotten so big that the Amazons can't just stay on their island anymore. They have to send a representative to deal with the world at war.
Yeah.
So I like it when Wonder Woman gets tied into World War II, but one thing I find interesting, my understanding is that the Wonder Woman script is actually going to be in the 20s, and that she's going to be involved somewhat in the suffragettes, which is interesting because at least it lets me know that that's something they care about, that it's not just a pure mythological adventures type story. But I'd feel stronger about it if they had a director. They got a script, but they don't have a director. You know, it's like they've already announced this movie, the wheels are moving forward, and they still don't have the person that's supposed to be at the helm of the film in line yet.
The Wonder Woman movie I would want to see is not the Wonder Woman movie fans would want to see. I would want to see the Wonder Woman movie. She's only come to, she's left the mystical island because she wants to get knocked up by Superman because she's finally found a god on Earth that she could have a child with.
Okay, you can stop talking now.
No, but that's
no,
what I
you
want
can
to
stop
see.
talking now.
No,
you're gonna make me mad.
He's getting so mad right now.
But see, that's the Wonder Woman.
You just
movie.
named all of the things that he likes least about DC Comics' relationship with Wonder Woman.
And the world in general, like create.
But there's no good Wonder Woman movie. I
think you're just intentionally being a dick right now, just to fucking try to get a rise out of me.
I swear to you, man. Okay, you're gonna have a Wonder Woman movie based in the 1920s, fighting for women's rights.
Well, I think it starts there. I'm not sure if it's going to stay there.
Okay, so
it's called Wonder Woman #Frank's Agenda. I believe that's the working title right now.
They're maybe making it into a Highlander situation where maybe it'll jump.
But see, that's just goofy, though. That sounds good. Oh, she's Highlander now? There can be only one. She goes around killing other chicks.
Hey, in Highlander's defense, Highlander was fucking awesome.
Highlander is a fucking awesome movie.
Original one.
Oh, the original is what I'm talking about.
Okay, as long as we don't go off the turn.
Fucking bad.
Well, the TV series wasn't too bad.
No, the TV series was good too, but it's not as good as the first one.
I can only see DC out Marvel in Marvel if they do something that you wouldn't expect. See, you're sitting there like, that's what I want.
So I'm going to ask a question. Let me tell you something. I don't know jack shit about... I know everything... I know Wonder Woman. I don't know jack shit about Wonder Woman. I don't know what her personality is in the comics. I mean, these are just things I never thought about. Yeah. What is her personality in the comics?
I always thought she was like a Xena, like warrior princess, angry.
That's what they've been selling to you for since Kingdom Come. That's why I hate Kingdom Come. And you were talking earlier off the mic about you're having issues with Mark Waid. And I've really enjoyed some of Mark Waid's stuff, and I've not enjoyed some of Mark Waid's stuff. But if there's anything that I could hate him for, it's because he was involved with Kingdom Come, and Kingdom Come, to a large degree, ruined DC Comics. Because just like what happened with Watchmen and The Dark Knight Returns, everybody took the wrong lessons from that book. The idea was that Kingdom Come was supposed to be a rebuttal of the Image era of comics, where everybody's got swords and bloodletting. And instead what happened is guys like Jeff Johns decided that that's what the DC universe should be, and started working toward that future. And they put a sword in Wonder Woman's hand. And the whole point of that character is she's supposed to be a warrior for peace. It's the dichotomy of somebody who is proactive, but as non-violent as possible. Someone who is not trying to hurt anybody. Somebody who actually tries to get people onto Redemption Island and teach them how to be good people. Not somebody that sort of like that ultra-liberal notion. She's not running around chopping people up. As soon as you put a sword in her hand and she's a warrior woman, you've already lost the script. You've already fucked up that character. I think we've discussed this in the past, so that's why I'm kind of surprised this has come up again. A lot of times they'll ascribe Christian imagery and notions to Superman where it doesn't apply very well. If you're going to take Jesus and turn him into a superhero, Wonder Woman is more like Jesus as a superhero. In terms of how she approaches people, how she sees the good in all people and is trying to find that good and bring that good to the fore, trying to educate people. That's why she runs around with a lasso. First of all, hard to communicate in film.
First of all, we have never talked about this. Have we ever talked? No. We've never had this conversation. Okay. Second of all, you just described the worst movie I've ever heard. And I'm sorry, but that sounds like the worst movie ever.
But there's sexual bondage too, so it's not all about.
No.
You asked my opinion. Captain Marvel, I have not seen a movie. She's not a big enough character to maybe carry a movie. But if they go the Guardians of the Galaxy, you add a group with her. So I don't know. I mean, I really don't know how they're going to pull that movie off. That's going to be a weird.
Which one?
Captain Marvel. Black Panther, I can see pulled off. I think that's going to be a badass.
We talked about this, and if you look at the timeline, like she may be introduced in Guardians 2, then Infinity War 1 comes out, where we will assume she plays a large role. And then her movie comes out. That's why I had a hard time kind of making any really judgments on how that movie's going to be, because I think a lot of Captain Marvel is going to be set up in those two movies. I think Captain Marvel, the movie, may end up almost being like the third movie that she's in.
So you've already established her; she's not out there on her own.
If they just were like, here's a Captain Marvel movie, like they with Guardians. Guardians was just, it kind of came out of nowhere, right? Yeah. There's no real setup for Guardians in any movie.
We all knew there was a setup because the Infinity Stone. We all knew they had to have.
But that has nothing to do with fucking Star-Lord and Rocket Raccoon. It has nothing to do with any of that shit. Captain Marvel, the character, I think they're literally going to introduce her and set her up in those other movies. I think Black Panther's a strong enough character, you don't have to worry about that.
You don't think it's going to be mixed in with the rest of the movies, like some way?
No, I think it probably will. But if they were to say, "Hey, we're going to make a Black Panther movie," I'd be like, "Okay, cool," because Black Panther's a fantastic character with plenty of history and story to draw from. Captain Marvel, I don't know what the fuck they're going to do.
I think what Mac's trying to say is Black Widow. If they were to do a Black Widow movie today, nobody would have a problem with that because she's already been set up in Iron Man, in Avengers, Winter Soldier. Where the Guardians, they were just like, you're going to watch these guys now. We're not even going to do a stinger with these guys. It's just boom, here they are. And you're going to either like them or you're not going to like them. Where with Captain Marvel, it's more like Black Widow, where they're going to have set her up, and you're going to know whether you like that character before you even get to her solo movie. In the case of Black Panther, it's more like a Blade situation, where if you just wanted to say, boom, we're going to do Black Panther, you could. But Black Panther will almost certainly be in Avengers, but if he's not, he's going to be in the third Captain America movie. So regardless, he's going to be set up as well. They're not bringing these guys out cold. I think the only guy who's going to come out cold will probably be Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
And Ant-Man possibly too. I don't know if Ant-Man's going to have anything to do prior to his movie.
I'm not feeling that one.
Well, we'll come back to that. Okay, so anyway, Wonder Woman, Captain Marvel, who do you think is the stronger bet?
Captain Marvel.
You think that Marvel movie? Well, just because of the consistency of the Marvel movies?
Yeah, because if anything, Wonder Woman, all she has is name recognition.
Okay, well...
There's enough women out there that are like, I'm Wonder Woman, that you'll get enough butts and seats for that alone, just because of the name. But as far as storytelling or driving their universe, I don't think it's going to do very much.
The DC Warner Brothers slate, officially, in the continuity they're working in, there is one movie. There's Man of Steel. Because not even the Batman movies officially count. Mm-hmm. But even if you do count them, all you have is the two franchises, one of which is still struggling to find its footing, Superman, in the modern cultural landscape. Batman is the one guy where it's like, okay, we've got our Batman. And they have that in a way that Marvel doesn't even have it, because Marvel doesn't have a Wolverine. Marvel doesn't have a Spider-Man. It's harder to believe that DC's framework is manageable because they haven't proven that they can work with other characters who aren't Superman or Batman. They haven't even really tried, and the instances where they did try, we got Green Lantern, we got Jonah Hex, we got Steel. They haven't proven themselves the way that Marvel has, so it's a lot harder to give them their word weight.
Yeah.
Now we're going to go with the doomed loser characters that may not be so doomed after all. Ant-Man, Aquaman.
Ooh.
Wow. I have no clue what to say about either of these movies.
Aquaman, the least favorite comic book character, I believe, at all time, wasn't he? At one time?
I don't think he was ever the least favorite, but in mainstream circles, if you want an easy joke that most people will get thanks to Super Friends, you make fun of Aquaman. I've been wanting to see a Namor movie, so I'm looking forward to Aquaman since Jason Momoa is so the Submariner and so not Aquaman. I would want Momoa to be part of Marvel's universe with those eyebrows, with that musculature, and I have a certain mental idea of who Aquaman should be. I'm just going to say it straight up. Aquaman is a huge fucking ripoff of Submariner. Aquaman was the moralistic, straightforward, friend of the people version of that concept, and then Submariner was the angry, antisocial, destructive aspect. I want to see both of those movies. I want to see Namor and I want to see Aquaman. But looking at what Snyder and Nolan have done with the DC properties, I know that in terms of personality, in terms of how he's going to interact with other heroes in the environment, Jason Momoa is going to be playing Namor in all but name. Yeah. But he's going to have all the accoutrements of Aquaman. He's going to have Mira and Black Manta and all these other characters. The Trench are going to be in his movie. I'm going to have cognitive dissonance, I think, where I'm seeing Namor interacting with Aquaman's characters. But I'm kind of excited to see that happen. Harry Potter was playing on TV earlier today, and I don't like those movies. But they showed the sequence where Harry is in the chariot of... What is that called? He's in that contest, and he has to become a merman. He's underwater and stuff.
Is it Quidditch?
No, that's just, it's a tournament. It's like the Goblet of Fire or some shit like that. Anyway,
No. You're talking about Mordor.
Shit. Okay.
Keep going.
So you literally I have to stop and think about what the joke you just made because I'm so divorced from all that kind of shit. I hate Tolkien too. But it's Harry and he's underwater and he's fighting an underwater creature and shit. It's like, there's your Aquaman movie. It's so, I look at Harry Potter and I see like when Voldemort is having his big battle with Dumbledore, it's like, there's your fucking Doctor Strange movie. Well, there's your Aquaman movie. You can do that. You just take all the shit you would normally do in space with a green screen and you put a little haze on it and make it blue background instead of black. And you do an underwater movie, and it's great.
Screech!
Yeah.
There is no way anybody's gonna fucking go see a fucking Aquaman movie. Period.
You just think it's as simple as you put
People
Aquaman's
are gonna
name on
see
there.
a bunch of fucking fish on the screen, and they're not gonna go see it.
Even with Jason Momoa? That's big, impressive-looking dude.
Way, dude. You're gonna put fish and water in my trailer to a movie, and I'm gonna turn and I'm gonna snicker. Nobody's gonna go see a fucking Aquaman movie.
No, but there's gonna have
Aquaman
creatures with
sucks.
fangs and shit.
Nope.
The water is cool, man. The
Water
ocean is scary.
Let me tell you something. 100% water is not cool, dude. And I know what's cool, and I know all about water. I know all about water's deal, and it's not fucking cool, dude.
It's essential to life, man.
At least 75% of my body is made up of water. It's the 75 worst part of me, man. Thank God for the other 25 fucking percent or whatever the hell.
What about like sharks and octopus and shit, man? Those are fucking scary, badass creatures.
I'm going to tell you right now, you're making my point for me because somebody's seeking to go, fuck, octopus. I don't want to go see an Aquaman movie with an octopus in it. What are the chances that there's going to be a giant squid in an Aquaman movie? Go.
98.7%.
This movie's going to fucking suck, dude. Fuck Aquaman and fuck the ocean.
I haven't seen anything of them. I haven't seen how they're going to look. I mean, because that plays a lot in. You can't just say, well, it's all story driven. No, you have to add visuals. You have to put the atmosphere of the movie. Some of these things can carry a movie. You've gone to a movie and the plot was shitty. Maybe the special effects weren't that great, but the atmosphere of the movie was enough to make up for those little things. It was enough to carry the movie off.
And you don't have any great affection for Aquaman either, do you?
I did read the Peter David stuff.
It seems likely that if any Aquaman run is going to be reflected, it'll probably be Peter David's and Jeff Johns'.
Really? Peter David's one. I read some of Jeff Johns'. I think like the first.
Because the Black Manta's going to be in the movie, the Trench are going to be in the movie,
Really?
Mira.
The problem
What do you think about Jason Momoa?
I thought he was awesome in Game of Thrones.
Did you ever see Conan the Barbarian?
Yeah.
I know you have issues with that because one of your favorite movies is the
Yes.
Schwarzenegger.
Damn you. Yes.
But how did you feel about his portrayal of the character? I actually enjoyed the movie.
I thought he was cool.
The movie overall is weak, but I thought that it was overhated. I enjoyed the movie.
I thought he was a cool barbarian. Mm-hmm. I went in there thinking he's not Conan. Like, this is Conan's bastard son. You know
and I actually think he looked more like the Conan of the early comics that Barry Smith and Roy Thomas did
with a
than
very
Schwarzenegger
lean,
ever did.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but see, Arnold Schwarzenegger, again, atmosphere, feel.
He was more the savage sort of Conan.
Yes, and then I love the fact that his English was so bad that it actually played well into Conan. Like,
yeah, it made him feel more like a foreign barbarian type character.
Well, not just foreign, but he felt he was intelligent in terms of war, but he couldn't communicate because he was never really taught. Even though they go into that thing where he was given knowledge and stuff, but he wasn't, I guess, linguistic? Like, he couldn't really talk. Articulate. So I think that's where Arnold's Conan was really cool. But no, the last Conan, I thought it was good. I mean, I told myself it wasn't Conan. I was watching a barbarian movie, and it was good. I mean, it was cool.
He was better than most of the 80s stuff.
Now, he's going to be a really weird Aquaman, I think. I mean,
he's going to be Namor.
You think so?
He's so fucking...
Because he can't be blonde.
He looks like Namor. He looks just like Namor. He would have been the perfect casting choice. And DC's been skewing since they want to do all grim and gritty 20 years too fucking late. If you do grim and gritty Aquaman, it's Namor.
True. And he's just a bunch of angry fish.
Then we have to deal with Ant-Man.
I tell you, man, look, I wish it was a Wasp movie.
It's a shrinking person movie.
I've made this point. Remember how I said, I don't understand with all these fucking reboots they're doing to all these old 80s movies, how Honey, I Shrunk the Kids has not been rebooted yet? Blows my mind. That was a big success of a movie.
People really like that. They made like 3 of them, right?
Yeah. How have they not remade Honey, I Shrunk the Kids? I think people like shrunken stuff, which is weird. I don't get it.
Well, that's the tricky thing, is people like shrunken stuff in a comedic setting. So is Marvel going to do a comedy, is the question.
And it seems
like a straight-up comedy.
It seems like they are. There's going to be a lot of bad shrink puns. I'm just not feeling this movie. And I told you I don't like Paul Rudd, but it's better than Aquaman? Shrugged?
Defaulting to, as long as it's not in the ocean, it's better.
I have to think that there's got to be a reason they're making this fucking Ant-Man movie.
I absolutely think that. I mean, I've been trying to hold back my theory because I keep waiting for us to do an Ant-Man/Wasp episode. In order to get to Wasp, we have to go through Ant-Man, and I don't want to go through Ant-Man. Ant-Man is the worst Silver Age Marvel hero strip. It was the book where they still hadn't quite figured out what they were going to do. It was the book where they was farmed out. I think like Larry Lieber was probably doing it with Don Heck.
Shout out Don Heck.
So it's like, it's just hard for me to get the traction to get into that. But I think that the Ant-Man movie, and one of the reasons why they ran Edgar Wright off, is because it's going to be an extremely central core movie to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Hope Van Dyne. You remember the big Janet Van Dyne? What was that? What was the hashtag they were using for that?
Janet Van Crime.
Janet Van Crime. The big thing was that you have the Avengers movie and you don't have a fucking Wasp, right? Well, here's the problem with Wasp. She got baked. She was with Hank Pym. Hank Pym was beating her, and she stayed with him. That's a fucking hot button topic now, and pretty much has been for a long time. So if you put the wife beater and the beat wife that stayed, and you turn them into superheroes, people are going to have to talk about that. That's going to get on the news. But what you do is you have Hope Van Dyne, the daughter of Hank and Janet, and you let her be a hero who has not that baggage behind her. She can be an Avenger, and she can do all the cool superhero shit. But the fact remains, Janet Van Dyne named the Avengers. That's why you need a cinematic retcon. You're going to get Hank Pym, Janet Van Dyne, Howard Stark, Nick Fury, and whatever the hell Robert Redford's character's name was in Captain America the Winter Soldier. Those guys are going to be turning whatever agency Peggy Carter's working for into S.H.I.E.L.D., and they're going to form the Avengers, and that's how you end up with the Avengers Initiative coming out of Nick Fury's mouth in the first Iron Man movie, because the Avengers existed before the cinematic Avengers.
I just got franked. I think that sounds fine. The problem is that doesn't make me want to go see an Ant-Man movie.
No, because you're going to see that in the movie itself. That was one of the reasons why Edgar Wright left, is because Marvel wanted rewrites that were going to include Howard Stark and Peggy Carter and all those other characters, and he didn't want any of that shit. He also apparently wanted to have the character be more amoral, and Marvel wanted to make him a little bit more family-friendly. They had some issues with how amoral the character was, blew off the rough edges. He's still going to be an important part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And unlike you, a lot of people do like Paul Rudd, myself included. Michael Douglas looks great with a goatee. I think that it's going to be an interesting dynamic between those two actors and those two character types. Honestly, Ant-Man has the potential to be, because I don't think that Doctor Strange can do this anymore, Ant-Man has the potential to be the next Iron Man. In terms of personality, in terms of execution, people like how it's done so well that he becomes a big name. Where Captain America, as much as I love Cap, he's still out of step with the times. He's still somewhat of a hard sell. Even after the Winter Soldier, you don't see him connecting with a broad audience the way that Iron Man did, nor Thor. Where someone like Paul Rudd doing a little bit of slapstick, making some snarky comments, running around as his little ant self, that could go over with people, I think. And I'm an Atom fan. I love the Atom, but the Atom has more in common with Captain America in terms of his personality. I don't like Hank Pym, but Scott Lang being the wisecracking Ant-Man, I can see that very much working. I can see that very much resonating with audiences.
He's not going to be Iron Man. That's not going to happen.
Well, you can't catch that lightning in a bottle. I agree with that. But I'm saying the closest the Marvel movies have come to having somebody like that.
I don't think so. I think they're going to make one Ant-Man movie and maybe, I don't know. I told you, man, I'm just perplexed around this whole thing. Way more than I was with Guardians of the Galaxy. And I know he's an Avenger, and I know they're making these huge Avengers movies, and I know Ultron's coming out, so it all makes sense. I'm just totally perplexed that they have felt the need to make an Ant-Man movie. I just don't get it.
I think they're just expanding their universe, honestly. And I think that they're deepening the universe. This is one of the big issues I had with the New 52. I loved DC's history after the Crisis. I didn't care for all the multiple Earths. All that stuff just turned me off. I love that DC finally said, look, those 1940-style characters that don't work in our current era anyway, the Justice Society and the people who are contemporaneous to them, that should happen in the 40s. And then here's some characters that were in the 50s, and here's some characters in the 60s. And yeah, the major characters, the big age of heroes, as they called it, all the main guys are in our present day and have been for 10 to 12 years. But you have all these other characters that were period-specific, and they were allowed to be so, and that was great. Marvel stumbled in trying to do that because they just didn't have the wealth of characters from that time period. The Invaders just are not the Justice Society. They're just not. And then they tried to do all those retroactive 50s heroes like the Agents of Atlas, where it was 3D Man and Marvel Boy and Venus, all them. And those are not strong enough characters. It isn't as cool to have those guys as it is to have Martian Manhunter and King Faraday rock in the 50s. But DC decided, fuck all that shit. Everybody has to exist right now in the present. And if they don't exist on this one Earth, then they exist on a parallel Earth. And I'm just not into it. I don't want to see a modern, young, hip Green Lantern. I'm glad he's gay. I'm glad that there's representation for gays. Personally, I'd rather there be a character who, for starters, hadn't been married twice in the comic books to women. But also, I want the gay guys to have their own new hero. I don't want them to have to compromise with some old guy who was just a variation on a more popular hero anyway. And I like history, and I love that Marvel has now been able to take that lead where they've thrown Hank and Janet back into the past. I presume Janet. I think, has Janet been cast? Or has she been mentioned at all?
I don't think she's been mentioned at all, as far as I know.
I think she has, because I think they've established that she's the mother of Hope Van Dyne. So presumably Janet is dead or something, but she existed in some point in the past. So. But I love that it's like these characters that don't really work for us in the modern context anyway. Let's just send them back to the 60s or 70s and let them be heroes back then. They were just on the down low. That Marvel was, well, we already established Captain America was around in the 40s. So you can have heroes pop up from the 50s, 60s, 70s and populate that history.
And Winter Soldier.
Yeah, and Winter Soldier was that active. So I love that. As divorced as I was
and Howard
from Marvel,
Stark.
Yeah, as divorced as I was from Marvel, and I got to tell you too, all these previews for Agent Carter, I'm so much more interested in seeing the Agent Carter series than I can say that, as far as S.H.I.E.L.D. goes. I'm liking Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. okay. It's gotten better in the second season for sure, but I'm hyped for Agent Carter. That looks like it's going to be a great show. I've seen previews where it's her interacting with Howard Stark. Those two have a wonderful chemistry. It's 8 episodes. I think you're going to tell a complete story in those. As divorced as I was from Marvel in the 90s, when they felt the need to make everything about being in the 90s, I'm now totally switched, and I'm really excited about Marvel getting into their history and making that part of the cinematic universe.
Yeah, they've done such a good job. It doesn't even make sense that they did this good of a job.
I know it is really amazing.
Yeah, it's really, really amazing. That we literally have from the 40s to present. There is a continuity in movies. How the hell do you establish that kind of continuity in movies? It doesn't make sense. It's never been done before. It's just so impressive. I mean, I think people are kind of underselling how difficult that is.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And again, that's one of the problems that
they're making it look too easy.
Yeah, and everybody's trying to do it. You realize that they're trying to make a movie monster universe now. That Dracula movie with what's his face from the Fast and Furious movies. What's his name?
Vin Diesel.
That guy.
Paul Walker.
The villain from the last Fast and Furious movie.
The Rock.
No.
Vin Diesel.
You really need to watch the Fast and Furious movies, man.
Johnny Tran.
They've actually, of all the movies that are trying to do the Marvel stuff right now, the one who does it the best is the Fast and the Furious movies, because they have a continuity and they have a variety of different franchises that are sort of intermingled with that. Because you're bringing back the kid from Tokyo Drift in the new movie. The Rock was a villain in one movie, and then he's one of their supporters in another movie. And the guy who's a villain in one movie is turning out to be an assassin who's killing the members of the group in the next movie. And it ties into the ending of Tokyo Drift because the continuity is such to where Tokyo Drift takes place after Fast and Furious 6. They were actually doing it before Marvel was doing it, or well, not before, but around the same time of it. And they're doing it better than most anybody else has.
Shut the fuck up.
So anyway, they're trying to do, I think it's the Universal movie Monsters, where they're trying to do Dracula and Frankenstein and all of them as part of a universe with a shared continuity.
Wait. Okay, but weren't they going to do that too with the Godzilla universe also?
Yeah, I think they're going to try to do that.
Scrapped after Godzilla made money, but everybody was all pissed because they were like, "Hey, I thought that."
Well, they're making another Godzilla regardless.
Are they really?
It's going to happen.
That movie sucked.
But I guess you're going to have continuity in the sense of them bringing in all the monsters from the old movies, but that's not really the same thing.
And I'm telling you, Godzilla, people would at least bullshit that Transformers 1 was good for a while. Anybody who was like, "Yeah, man, Godzilla's going to be awesome," and went and saw it, them saying, "Yeah, oh man, it was so good," that lasted for like a day. And then nobody talked about that movie. Like, that movie was like, "Oh, no, let's stop talking about it because it sucked so bad."
I thought Godzilla was okay. Watching it one time, not particularly inclined to ever watch it again. But I don't think it's as bad as you say. I just don't think it was good enough to make
I'm
me
telling
want to
you,
see
it's
more.
a bad start to if you're going to start a whole Marvel Marvel universe. Monster universe. Not a good start. Which is, again, why we're saying...
And you need Kong. If you don't have Kong, then fucking blow that shit off.
Yeah. You got to have King Kong.
And honestly, let's get some Ultraman in there. Ultraman versus King Kong Godzilla, I'm fucking there. But if I don't have Ultraman, I don't have King Kong, I'm not going to get a boner from Mothra.
Or I almost said Gamora. Gamera.
Gamera.
And the thing about Ant-Man is, I'm not feeling it too much. It feels last minute.
Which is really true, because actually Ant-Man was one of the first movies that they were developing. They were developing it from like 2007 to the present. They lost their director because I think in the time it took to get from 2007 to 2014, what Marvel needed that movie to be changed. But Edgar Wright was developing that movie, and a large amount of his script is still in place, dating back 7 years.
Okay.
So there's nothing last minute about that movie.
If I was going to bet, I'd probably go on Ant-Man just because Marvel's track record is doing so well. And again, DC just feels like a quick tag on the end.
You're going to prefer Paul Rudd and Michael Douglas and the tapestry of the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, because, and like I said, Marvel Run, they got that record right now. Enough good writers. They're just doing everything right now. I don't think it's going to be a misstep. I don't know. I'd be shocked if it was big as Guardians. I don't think it's going to be that big.
I would tend to agree with that because you're trying to sell one character. As much as I like Paul Rudd, but you don't have a talking raccoon this time. You don't have the tree. But they don't also. I don't think they're going to go into that kind of budget, and I don't know if they're trying to build a franchise.
We don't know. He could have some. I think of
sarcastic ants.
No,
I love sarcastic ants.
Iron Man's his robots that were like his buddies that still had the kind of personalities. He could easily have one of his ants that's like
I'm pretty sure there's
two goofy ass ants
gonna be
that he jokes around with, like, "Hey man, what fuck," you know what I mean? It could totally go that route. But,
well, that's what I was saying before, though, is I think that Ant-Man is going to be them trying to do Iron Man again in terms of the vibe.
Yeah.
The comedic vibe, the techno vibe. I think.
But I don't. But see, the difference
I think they want somebody who can replace Robert Downey Jr. Honestly,
No, dude. He will always be Tony Stark.
I don't think that's true. I really don't think that's true because he's just too damn expensive.
Well, no, but that's why I was bringing up earlier was what does Marvel do when the movies are all done? Because I don't want to see a reboot. I really don't want to see a reboot. Try something else. Like Paul Rudd, I see him. Even if he is Iron Man, I really want to see the irredeemable. What was it?
Eric O'Grady's irredeemable Ant-Man.
That's the Ant-Man.
That's what Edgar Wright wanted to do, and Marvel pulled him back. That's where the movie has been compromised. Is they've talked about this a little bit that the moral alignment of the movie, as Wright envisioned, was too far afield.
Yeah,
he was too.
Because honestly,
he was too naughty, I guess.
Because every Ant-Man story I've ever read is boring. He's the little guy.
But this is Scott Lang. And I think that's an important distinction. I actually kind of like Scott Lang, and I think they're going to take Scott Lang and imbue him with qualities from Eric O'Grady.
I really like the Eric character, but just for the fact that when you go in and you sneak into She-Hulk's shower to watch her, it's stuff that guys would never admit to doing if they had Ant-Man's powers, and he did it. which was kind of cool. And I love the whole thing where they're like, "Aren't you Ant-Man?" No, I'm the green. Was it? I'm the Mantis. He's hiding amongst damage control.
Hey, I haven't read the book in a while, but they were great.
It was such a fun series. It was so fun because he was such an ass.
He was a total dick.
The
name was true.
When I read Ant-Man, or when I heard Ant-Man, I was thinking, are they going to do this? Like, that'd be kind of cool. That's something I thought Marvel was going to do that would be un-Marvel. Because they had this perfect formula, and then everyone's expecting something, so they're going to throw something, kind of like Guardians. They're going to throw something out of left field, catch you off guard, and that's going to get you hooked into them again. So that's what I thought they were going to go with Ant-Man.
Yeah.
So
I think that you have to factor Disney in, though. There might have been an instance where they wanted to go a little bit more nasty, and they got pulled back by the House of Mouse.
Yeah, that's why I've always been a little wary about Disney purchasing Marvel.
Yeah.
I'm just worried that they're going to Disney it up.
Well, don't forget, though, Disney has always had multiple sections. You've got Touchstone and Hollywood.
True.
They've always been willing to do R-rated type material.
But not as close like Marvel is. Like Disney's actually making Marvel products now. They're ingraining them into, I'm pretty sure in the near future when you go visit Disneyland, Thor will be walking around and Wolverine will be walking around. And it's not the Thor Wolverine.
Not Wolverine.
Yeah, not Wolverine.
No, I can see Wolverine.
No, because of poor mother. He doesn't want anything that Fox has their claws in.
All right.
So anything related to Fantastic Four, the X-Men, Marvel is playing down.
Yeah, but all that shit will come back to them. They don't own the license.
No, they've essentially got the movie rights in perpetuity.
Yeah, we talked about this. Remember, that's why there are no X-Men toys.
Yeah, I know. That's why they didn't.
That's why Wolverine's not going to be walking around the Enchanted Forest or whatever the fuck all that shit.
Yeah, because they keep hinting at was it
Spider-Man appearing in Civil War?
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
You don't think so?
That's just some bullshit. Sony likes it because it makes them closer to the Marvel universe. Marvel is doing a lot better than Sony at dealing with those characters right now. So it's beneficial, but it's never going to happen. They're not going to cut through all that.
So they own those characters for good.
It's not that they own them; it's that they have that option essentially in perpetuity. They can keep re-upping their movie rights so long as they keep making movies. But Fox managed to lose Daredevil because they didn't make more Daredevil movies. They made the one, and then they made the election movie, and then they let him fly fallow. And they actually were trying to do some horse trading with Marvel at one point to keep Daredevil through some kind of extension, but Marvel managed to get Daredevil back. But you'd have to have the X-Men movies not be made for like 10 years. And they're going to just keep turning those out. Some variation on them.
I see.
They're already going to do a Gambit movie. They're going to do Deadpool. They're going to keep using those characters. So there's never a point where there's going to be a lapse for it to go back to Marvel.
I didn't know that part.
Same goes with Sony and Spider-Man, but they don't mind promoting Spider-Man because they renegotiated their deal. They cut these deals when they were in bankruptcy, so they didn't even know if Marvel was going to continue to exist from that point onward. So they cut some pretty lousy deals because they had to have some money coming in, but they were able to renegotiate with Sony, and they have a much better relationship with Sony, so they'll continue to promote Spider-Man where they want nothing to do with Fox.
Is that why they're canceling the Fantastic Four books?
Yeah. That's my understanding. Yeah, that's exactly it. They would love to cancel the X-Men books, but
that's why you're not going to see Thing around freaking Enchanted fucking whatever.
The Magic Kingdom.
Yeah,
the Magic Kingdom. That's what the word.
I know, he's like Magic Four. I'm like, what the fuck is a
fucking Enchanted Castle?
Not White Castle.
Yeah, you're never going to see him around White Castle. Next to fucking Daffy, whatever.
This week's Twitter favorites include Carl Pinkert, Charlton Hero, Count Druncula, David Fior, David Puglisi, Il Perrin, Eternal Rage, Future Primitive, Jess Camacho, Keith G. Baker, Martin Gray, Professor Riptide, Randy Caldwell, Siskoid, Sin, Time Travel Films, and the Ultraverse Network. We also received retweets from Ange, Charlton Hero, David Puglisi, Eternal Rage, Future Primitive, Guano Man, Keith G. Baker, Martin Gray, and Michael Morin. As for comments, Jason Martinez let us know that he was listening to Hell with Mockingbird. Martin Gray said, "Blimey, you made our tweets famous." Eternal Rage noted, "Marvel hasn't penetrated his audience? Good, right? Captain Marvel doesn't have the following that a Wonder Woman does. It'll be a risk, but I think it'll succeed. No thigh highs. Killraven represented with the pants and thigh highs. Also, I now need a Killraven episode. Black Panther has long been a favorite of mine, and he needs to be done well. Too much of a support piece for being a big player. Another great episode. I found myself agreeing with Mac more and more on this episode. It frightened me, just a little." Siskoid said, "You don't mention it, so I don't know if you're aware of it, but there is a Suicide Squad right now on the Arrow show. It includes Deadshot, Bronze Tiger, and Shrapnel. A deleted scene had Harley Quinn as well. Yet another young and thin Amanda Waller, of course. For me, the thing that bothers me about doing Suicide Squad early in a universe, whether that's the new 52 SS or the movies, is that the concept works best if you have a backlog of villains to work from. Who the hell cares if a villain you've never seen before, in that version at least, dies on a mission? I have to be invested, either dreading a character's death or rooting for it. The DC movies have no real continuity going on at this point, and will only have one film when Suicide Squad releases. That makes no sense to me. Count Druncula said, specifically to Siskoid, I wholeheartedly agree that stacking a Suicide Squad movie with villains derived from heroes we haven't met yet is a major problem. On the other hand, I'm pretty sure the movie will be dominated by Lex Luthor, the Joker, and Harley Quinn. So who cares about the lesser-knowns who actually made the Suicide Squad as special as it was? The latest rumor I've heard is that Will Smith is in consideration for the part of Captain Boomerang? Not Bronze Tiger or the newly suicidal Black Manta, you know? The badass black guys that would be worthy of someone like Will Smith's star power? No, Warner Brothers wants Smith to play Digger Harkness. I guess they thought there weren't any good Australian actors available. As for this episode, another great job, guys. While I miss Mr. Fix-It's perspective, I always enjoy when you guys cover the multimedia aspects of the Marvel and Detective Comics. Addressing Mac, he said, I'm with you that the only Blade movie worth watching is the first one. Addressing Frank, moi, I know exactly which bleeding cool YouTube cosplayer you're talking about. I saw his response to the Black Panther announcement and was dumbstruck at how ignorant and nonsensical his claims were. Good on you for having the patience to post a well-constructed and thought-out response to his position. I stopped myself from leaving a YouTube comment because mine would have been more of the cynical, totally sucks, fuck your mother variety. I agree that Wonder Woman is almost assured to be the bigger success at the box office unless Dawn of the Planet of the Justice Bats completely falls on its face. But I have every confidence that Captain Marvel could be the better movie. During Marvel's unveiling, Kevin Feige said that they would likely announce the writer and director for Captain Marvel before they get to casting. So I'm not sure if we'll see Carol Danvers in Age of Ultron. However, I can easily see her character popping up in a strictly non-powered military capacity in Captain America Civil War. Black Panther's movie is scheduled for late 2017, but we've been told he will be featured heavily in Civil War. He might pop up as early as Age of Ultron, mid or post-credits teaser, I'm thinking. For the movie to really work, and I think it will, Marvel needs to nail Wakanda as a place. The movie can't be Black Ninja in the jungle. The culture and geography of Wakanda needs to be every bit as defined and distinctive as the various kingdoms in Game of Thrones, for example. I endorse and applaud Frank's Black Panther rant from this episode. He was the modern depiction of Batman almost half a century ago. T'Challa is one of my favorite heroes, and I can't wait for you guys to cover any of the Don McGregor or Priest stuff. I told Frank that one of my favorite descriptions of Black Panther was when Everett Ross said T'Challa has the mind of a crime boss or something to that effect. Portraying T'Challa as Michael Corleone of the Marvel Cinematic Universe would be, as the kids say, amazeballs. CJ wrote, this was some good quality debate here, fellas. I look forward to the next one. Hopefully Fix-It will be back for the next one. Marvel is an established cineverse, whereas DC is just starting out theirs with Man of Steel, so they really can't be compared yet. GL failed to kick off, no doubt. I can't blame DCWB for being a little behind the 8 ball now because of the Dark Knight trilogy. In the time it took Nolan to release Rises, 4 years, Marvel put out 5 in-continuity movies, and DCWB was trying the whole time to get Nolan to create their Cineverse. When they finally gave up, they were way behind because of Avengers 2012. It didn't matter that Iron Man 2 and 3 and Thor Dark World weren't great. Avengers was solid, and that left Marvel with only the 8 ball on the table. Winter Soldier and GOTG 2014 pocketed that 8 ball. So what's left? DCWB has to stage a comeback. They have to catch up, not be compared to just get really great, or they will never be any comparison. Since Iron Man came out, they have had 10 in-continuity movies, while DCWB has had 1, Man of Steel. Comparing Phase 3 of Marvel to Phase 1 of DC is apples and oranges. Although DC is only $600 million or so dollars down, lol. And then he proceeded to give us a breakdown of the different movies, figures. You can check those out at Box Office Mojo. I think I'll go ahead and put those up on the blog as well. Andrew wrote, if you're on a Defenders kick, I wouldn't mind some Valkyrie or Gargoyle talk. He also sent us some more Hellcat art, which is great because I'm a big fan of Hellcat these days, and that's going to be up on the blog. He also mentioned, had a great time listening to this show. I'm admittedly dyed-in-the-wool DC guy, but I can't help but think their movies are going to be awful. While Marvel puts out action movies where the heroes, gasp, seem to like being heroes with a slice of humor mixed in, DC and Zack Snyder go in the opposite direction. Even Superman didn't want to be Superman and didn't want to help people, like his father. Now we get a movie where the heroes are fighting each other as opposed to Avengers where they come together to fight a bigger threat. Even the cinematography is reversed. Marvel's are bright, primary colors, dizzying. DC's movies are drab, gray, plotting. I can't believe you guys are making me think about Man of Steel again. Stop it. As for the rest of the show, I've been a big fan of the new Captain Marvel, and unlike Frank, I like the inky, warped early art of Dexter Soy. The book, and the relaunched book, has gone through a number of artists since then. The recent issues by David Lopez and Markio Takara might be more to your tastes. I love the cyborg rant. Don't sugarcoat it, Frank. Let us know how you really feel.
I'm gonna say mature language. You're gonna say check.
Okay.
Mature language.
Check.
Spoilers.
Check.
Viewer discretion advised.
Engage.
Nope. delete that part out.
Okay, what do you want to say? Or
That was
nothing?
it. No, then you just...
It just goes...
then it
Okay, you want to try it again to be on the safe side?
Okay, you're going to do check again at the end, okay?
Okay, I'm going to try to make it a little more butch, too. Check.
Spoilers?
Check. Not too much, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Spoilers?
Check.
Mature language?
Check.
Viewers beware?
Check. What is that line from the BC song where he's like, kick it? Or no, that's kick it, right?
Let's kick it.
Okay, but do you want to try to do that?
No, 'cause that's the beginning of...
Kick it!
That's the beginning of Fight for Your Right.
Oh, the worst Beastie Boys song of all time because it's been played to fucking death.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
That was good. No, I think that's good.
Okay, we'll try it.
Mature language?
Check.
Spoilers?
Check.
Listener discretion advised.
Check.
No, I did it wrong.
Yeah, okay, sorry. No, wait,
No,
I did it
that
wrong.
was my fault. No, that was my fault.
Well, I but I only need to do 2 checks. And then you,
No, you do the third one.
I do the
Yeah, I fucked up.
Okay.
The following program contains... The following program contains mature language and potential spoilers. Listeners be advised.
You didn't do that clinched, tight sphincter version that you did the first time.
I'm sorry.
More pictures of the dog?
No, she's telling me she's going to bed.
Oh, okay.
The following program contains mature language and potential spoilers. Listeners be advised.
You don't have that like pinched librarian tone like you did the first time. The first time you're like really intense.
The following program contains mature language and potential spoilers. Listeners be advised.
That's the one.